Let's talk about the Taliban, Facebook, and Twitter. Big tech and the Taliban. That's what we're going to be talking about in this video. The Taliban has been deplatformed and censored by Facebook and its subsidiary messaging app, WhatsApp. But so far, Twitter is allowing the Taliban to tweet their messages. Very generous of Jack Dorsey, considering that he censored and deplatformed a sitting US president. But Trump deplatformed and censored on Twitter. Orange man bad. Taliban, keep tweeting. Taliban, good, according to CEO Jack Dorsey and all the folks over at Twitter. But let's start with messaging app WhatsApp. Yesterday, Facebook said that it was blocking the WhatsApp accounts linked to Taliban members after the Taliban seized control of all of Afghanistan. And they then decided to use WhatsApp to send messages to all the Taliban members. Now, according to Facebook, this was a big no-no because the Taliban was seeking to govern the country using their messaging app, WhatsApp. Now, keep in mind that the WhatsApp blocking took place after the Taliban took over the country. Before the takeover, the Taliban was using WhatsApp with no problems. Facebook was fine letting the Taliban use WhatsApp before they took over Afghanistan. After they took over Afghanistan, and they wanted to send messages, Facebook blocked them. Now, a Facebook spokesperson told the AFP that the Taliban is sanctioned as a terrorist organization under US law. And I quote, "We have banned them from our services under our dangerous organization policy." Now, a WhatsApp spokesperson also said in an email to the AFP that the company is required to follow US sanctions. Got that? The interesting thing is that before they took over Afghanistan, the Taliban was still a terrorist organization. So why were they allowed to use Facebook and WhatsApp before they took over Afghanistan? But after they took over Afghanistan, then Facebook and WhatsApp decided to enforce the US law, the dangerous organization policies, as they say, and to follow US sanctions and block the Taliban. Maybe someone should ask the Facebook and WhatsApp spokespeople about that. Why was the Taliban allowed to use their platform before they took over the country, but after they took over the country, they got blocked and banned? Maybe something to ask Zuckerberg. I don't know. Now, Facebook, the social network, not WhatsApp, not the messaging app. Facebook, the social network, the one that is worth like $1 trillion, but no one likes or no one uses. Anyway, they did say that they have banned Taliban accounts and profiles on the Facebook social network. And the Taliban let Facebook know that they're not happy with the censorship. Let me say that again. The Taliban let Facebook know that they're not happy with being deplatformed and being censored on Facebook. The Taliban is not happy with American big tech authoritarian censorship. Taliban spokesman Zabihullah Mujahid. This guy did not go on holidays, unlike Biden and unlike Psaki. This guy actually decided to speak to the media during a press conference. And get this, he lectured Western media on the values of free speech. He responded to a question that one of the press people threw out at him about Facebook. And he said this: "The question should be asked to those people who are claiming to be promoters of freedom of speech who do not allow publication of all information. And Facebook, the company, this question should be asked of them." Got that? The media asked the Taliban spokesman what he thought about Facebook deplatforming them. And he came back and said, maybe you should talk to Facebook about the fact that they don't allow free speech and the publication of all information. This is what the Taliban told the Western media.
This question should be asked to those people who are claiming to be promoters of freedom of speech, who do not allow publication of all information. I can ask Facebook company. This question should be asked to them.
By the way, he was also speaking to reporters who had a lot of concerns about what's going to happen with women's rights. And he also said that the new Afghanistan Emirates would respect the rights of women, and I quote, within the limits of Islam. So, in other words, You know, they're not going to respect the rights of women. That's what he's telling the reporters. Now, forget about the Americans stuck in Afghanistan. The media didn't really care about that. Who cares about the 10, from what I hear, 10,000, maybe 80,000. Some people are reporting that you have 80,000 Americans that are stuck in Afghanistan and can't get out. And they won't be able to get out. They're not getting out. Forget about them. The media is not concerned with them at all. They're concerned about women's rights because, well, even during disasters like this one, we always have to virtue signal. Anyway, Facebook spokesperson declined to address the Taliban's comments. They didn't want to address what the Taliban had said. But Facebook did say, and get this, they said, and I quote, "A dedicated team of Afghanistan experts who are native Dari and Pashto speakers and have knowledge of local contexts, and those experts are closely monitoring the situation as evolves." Facebook has all kinds of local experts, don't they? A real ministry of truth, a real global ministry of truth. Facebook also said that the company, and I quote, "does not make decisions about the recognized government in any particular country, but instead respects the authority of the international community in making these determinations. Regardless of who holds power, we will take the appropriate action against accounts and content that breaks our rules." A real global ministry of truth, that Facebook. So the Taliban, as I said, they still have their Twitter handle. The Twitter has also come out with some statements, and they said they're monitoring Taliban tweets very carefully, making sure that there are no violent tweets or no violent posts on their platform. But so far, the Taliban, they have Twitter. They have a Twitter handle. How about that? As long as the Taliban doesn't question, I don't know, maybe Dr. Fauci, or they don't talk about January 6th or the US elections, they should be okay on Twitter. I think Dorsey will be all right with that. As for Facebook, well, the Taliban has instituted a kind of mask mandate, especially for women. They have a mask mandate for women, I guess you could say. They're also locking many people up in their homes. So I guess you could say it's kind of a lockdown, I guess. Sure, why not? There's also reports that the Taliban, they're going house to house, door to door, and they're collecting firearms. So that's got to make the neoliberals super happy. So the government does seem to be actually following a lot of the Western neoliberal values, a lot of the Western neoliberal rules that we all have to live with now, these new rules. Masks, lockdowns, giving up your firearms. So I imagine if the Taliban continues to follow these rules, that Facebook should be reinstating their account any day now. That's the video, guys. theduran.locals.com. BitChute, Rumble, ODYSEE, and free speech video platform Super U. Find us there and go to the Duran shop. 10% off when you use the code Real News. I've got my Duran t-shirt and a Duran USA flag. Magic mug. Take care.